Hi, Chefeteers. Thank you so much for joining us. We're here with professional organizer Pam in our next stop on our journey on our way to an organized kitchen. Thank you for joining us for this spicy conversation about herb and spice organization. Professional organizer Pam, thank you so much for sharing your time and expertise with us today. So our icebreaker question is, what is your favorite Winter Olympic sport to watch?
Oh my goodness. For me, it is figure skating, but specifically ice dancing. I just love the ice dancing and the lifts and the extension and the drama of it all. Oh, I just adore it. How about you?
I loved the snowboard cross, especially this year. I like all of the snowboard and ski like races, but I thought the snowboard cross was really cool. So as we talk about spice organization, is this an area that we might want to declutter before we organize it?
Absolutely, because look, when do you ever think about organizing your spices? You just keep buying and putting in there. So definitely, and one way to do is to walk up to your spices and have a tray and just gather them all and take them to the table. Take them to your kitchen table that you've cleaned off.
And then what are we looking for? Do you recommend like 2 years or 3 years? Or is there an aroma?
Mostly it is, mostly I go by how does it smell? Like, so I have this dill that has nowhere on it does it have a Best Buy. And so I smell, but it smells good to me. And then I ask myself, okay, now how long have I had this? So yes, if it's been 2 or 3 years, it's okay. And also this is a, you can see this is a big bottle. But it's actually up to here and now we can buy smaller amounts. They even have sometimes little packets, which I love because maybe I just need a teaspoon or two. Then the other thing is on, like I have this, this is a McCormick spice, McCormick, and on the edge here, it says very tiny. So that's why I recommend, even if you have great eyesight, let's make it easy on you. Go ahead and get out your magnifying glass. And it says best by December 3rd, 2022. Okay, so this is paprika. So that means the end of this year. Now, what I would do is I would go ahead and wipe it off because, you know, if your spices are beside the oven, they're going to get, they're going to get a little greasy. And you're making friends with the spices again and realizing what you have. So then why not go ahead and dry it off? And then you'd put it in the spot that maybe you've already written on that said, these are the keepers. And then I wanted to show you another one, this one, where you find the best by this date is up there in black. Now, this is cayenne pepper, and this says that it is best by January 23rd, 2022. So that is so fascinating. That's last month. And so I carefully smell the cayenne pepper and go, wow, that's still powerful. But again, it's down to here. So I'm thinking that this one, because I know that this one came from when people came to my house during Thanksgiving to cook, because I don't buy this. So I think I'm going to go ahead and throw it away, because when those wonderful people come back to cook in my kitchen, I will buy them a new thing of cayenne pepper. So I'll go ahead and throw that out.
And maybe a smaller size of cayenne pepper,
Smaller
because
size.
we'll use it for 1 week.
Because I'm asking, how in the world did they use that much pepper in these last couple of years? And then another thing about the spices is that you can see you've got lots of different types. So even how large their name is and where it's located is a little different. So I've used this pumpkin to show that nothing like your big label maker. or you can even use a Sharpie pen. And I've written, pumpkin on this. So there's some creativity there. And you can even color code. If some people know that they always use 3 or 4 spices for their favorite dishes, you would go ahead and put those together, or you could put a little dot on a colored dot. But again, I digress into kind of craziness organizing that you do not need to do to have a great functioning kitchen.
So as we're decluttering, giving the spices a careful sniff, especially around peppers, and then
Yes.
separating what do we want to keep and then what do we want to get rid of. And then I actually have a tip for those spices. If you don't think you're going to use them, but you might feel like maybe you don't want to quite get rid of them, consider if you could make a blend that you would actually use. So if there's like a pork rub blend or something where you could add that cayenne into it. So you're maybe not using the spice itself, but you can make a blend and then rebottle that and then use that in the future. If you're not quite ready to part with the entire thing.
And would you rebottle it in like an empty, clean one of these?
Yeah, yep, you could just dump everything out of one, wash it real quick, and then put your own label on it, or really however you'd want to. Yeah, or they do have those, you can buy like spice bottles at kitchen stores too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Terrific. Yeah, your own blends. Oh, I just thought that'd be a fun Christmas present or present for your friend if you, yeah. The other thing I think that's great is when you're doing this, depending on how many you have, you may want to put on music or the TV, something to have you be, so you're actually sitting at the table with the spices and the magnifying glass and the garbage can ready to do all this. We covered how to decide what to keep. So then when you've decided you're going to keep things, here are some choices. This is a rack, which is nice because you can put them on here, and ones are higher so that you can easily see, and you can tell 1, 2, 3, 4, like this will 4, 4. This will cover like 12 of them. And then I think the other most common thing is the 2-layered Lazy Susan, which they are so smart. Look this, they put little bumps on this plastic so that they don't slide around. So the rubber, not the plastic, the rubber. And then so you can do that kind of thing. And this looks great on your counter. And it also can look good if you've got a high enough shelves to put it in. And Chef, would you recommend that people keep their spices as close to the oven as possible?
Wherever the food prep is happening. So if you have a setup where your oven and your stove are together, then I think that would be a good spot right next to it. But if you have to choose between like stove or oven, I would say probably the stove, because you're going to be adding your herbs and spices into your pan there, whereas with the oven, you might be mixing it in a bowl and then transferring it onto a sheet pan and then putting it in the oven.
Okay.
That would be my recommendation.
And then if you have so many spices that you actually have some you need to store, a regular old shoebox can work well, especially those people who are really into the holidays. Maybe you want to have your pumpkin spice in here and cinnamon and maybe some of the icings or fun gels that you put on your Christmas cookies. So that's another thing, is to make and of course label it so that you can find it. And now, what would you say that most people, how many spices do most people have?
Oh, that's a great question. I don't know.
How about
I
you?
guess 2 dozen, between 2 and 3 dozen would be my guess.
Okay, that makes sense because I don't cook much, and I even have 12. So okay, so that's that's a lot of spices. So another thing I wanted to mention is if you can put them in a drawer. In fact, would you pull the door? Yeah, okay, so you've got all your utensils for the stove and the oven. But the other thing would be even to squish those together so you had a third of it. And some people love to be able to put their spices and pull out the drawer and look there. That's what's nice is a spice on its side does not take up much room. So to conclude about the spaces to put other spices, if you have enough that you want to rotate, would be putting that shoebox or a box in a part of the kitchen that you don't reach to very often, so high up. And you probably, would you agree, Chef, you wouldn't want to put them in the garage or the carport because of the heat.
And I don't know if insects might be drawn to certain aromas.
Mm,
So
good
I would,
point. So,
yeah,
yeah,
I
that
would
would not
say
be fun.
in the house would probably be safest.
Yes, it would not be fun to open up and see some other creatures you had no idea like that spice. Surprise!
Yep. And in the past, we've talked a lot about putting like with like. So if we're putting our spices together, yes, they're alike, but even within the spices, what are some categories or ways that we can think of like with like within the herbs and spices we have?
So for someone like me who does not cook very often, I told you I only have 12. So what I do is I put them alphabetical. So I have the dill on the top, and then down at the bottom I have the pumpkin, and then I have my salt and pepper on the bottom, because I have a 3-shelf thing that's right beside the oven. So I would say that's one way to do it. So then you could have like little pods. You basically have little pods or little parties of the spices that go together. Let's see, with chili, you'd use cumin and maybe some garlic powder.
Onion powder, paprika, cayenne, chili powder.
Yeah. Think in terms of, are these spices going to be happiest? Am I going to be happiest with them as a group? Keep them together the way I make stuff? Or are there so many and I want to be able, I like alphabetical order. Some people like, no, don't make me do that. No, of course. So your spices, you do what you want. And you can even take little bowls or little extra containers to put in. If you're like, okay, you're cooking with somebody, you said, okay, grab the little basket for chili. Okay, mom, you pull it out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, have like a little container that each spice container is in. So you just pick up the one container for the meal.
Yes, and that's something you could stack. You could stack in the pantry. So you can even, you have a lot of spices and you don't want to use them as part of your decorating. Made me think of Beauty and the Beast. I use antlers in all my decorating. Well, you know me, I use shelves in all my decorating. So this is another thing that you can put on your counter, and you line up the spices. And then what's great is you can have some of those little containers we talked about, under here. So like the chili and the pasta stuff. And it's a great way to use the space in your kitchen.
What about like on the wall or on the door type storage solutions?
Oh yeah, I think on the door is terrific. Well, what's cool about on the wall is if you actually have a wall, and even if you don't have a wall, you may have something like this that would look great against the wall. Now, the thing about this, you see, it's a bit big, but again, you could be spices on the top and something else on the bottom. So yeah, anywhere is good. I think using a pantry or putting any kind of hanging ledges, shelves, holders on your door is terrific, because you're truly using the space. You're going up
And I've seen a few like magnetic things too. So you can, you don't keep your spices in the bottle you buy them, you put them in a magnetic tin, and then you can just stick that on the magnetic board. Maybe some refrigerators that might work with too. I haven't seen that before, but
Sure.
could be.
Oh yeah. Terrific. Especially who people are really into it. You know, you've bought that little precious 3 or 4 teaspoons. What a terrific thing to put it in there, and so it's there for you to use. Yes, that's excellent. You know, when in doubt, throw it out. When in doubt, throw it out. And really, but it's true that, yeah, I don't think there's any food, there have not been any food poisonings or anything associated with spices, because the food poisoning thing is bacteria, and bacteria don't grow in them. And the biggest thing, I guess the most dangerous spice would be anything pepper, the cayenne pepper, anything hot sauce, those would be the things. And they don't kill you, but they can really make you uncomfortable. So I was just thinking out loud.
Yeah. Well, so like I know cinnamon is really dirty because with like the way that they harvest it and stuff like that, like you can't really clean it that well, but it's not like bacteria dirty, it's just like dirty, could be some bug parts sort of dirty. And so there are I think there are other spices and herbs that are kind of like that, but yeah, they're dry, right? So there's nothing for the bacteria to really live on.
Okay.
Thank you so much for your time and for all of these great ideas about decluttering and organizing our spices. I think it's something that maybe we don't think about often, so maybe once a year or so, it's a good thing to get in the kitchen, review everything, make sure that everything that's there is bringing more joy into our kitchens. So Professional Organizer Pam, thank you so much again, and Chefeteers, we'll talk soon.